Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Dice Cup, and this evening I'm joined by
Matt.
Steve. Anthony. Mark.
And we've just finished playing Bristol 1350, which is a social deduction game that Steve is going to explain how to play.
It's in Bristol, it's the middle of the plague, it's 1350, and you're desperate to get out of the city. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And there are three carriages, the only way out of the city, three carriages. They're called the birch, cedar and oak. The colours in this game are not brilliant. They're vibrant, but they're not that distinguishable. Anyway, you've got these three carriages, and you see people at the start, so you can see that purple and then blue are ahead of the first carriage, and then the second carriage has got orange and so on. And each player has a kind of a colour, again, not so easy to distinguish which is red, orange and yellow and so on.
So you are...
I'm the knight, I'm red.
Red, okay.
Yeah. So I'm red here, and the way it works is at the start of the game you're going to get some illnesses. So I've got a cough and a headache, and you will always have two symptoms, and they will be secret for the whole game. At the start of the game, no one has got the plague, so this person's got a cough and a headache as well, and then Jonathan, I think, is a bit worse off. He's got the chills and a cough, so he's on 5. And if at any point in the game, you get to 6 or more, you are infected for the rest of the game, regardless of whether you can lower it back down to beneath 6 and so on. And over the course of the game, there'll be some more higher cards coming in. There are some 4s that you don't start the game with, so there's some 4s of buboes that will get shuffled in, and you will start mingling with people later. But the way it works, to win the game, you have to be on the first uninfected completely carriage out of Bristol. If you're on the carriage and all people on the carriage are infected and they get out first, they win. If someone's infected on that carriage, the whole carriage is eliminated. They've got someone on the plague there, and then every other carriage has got one more round to get out. Otherwise, all infected players win. At the start of the game, no one's infected. You think, well, let's all work together, no one get infected. As the game goes on, that does not happen. And the way it works is that you've got some dice, and whoever's leading, in this case, purple, I think was Matt, was purple, so he would roll these dice. And then on your turn, everyone's going to take one turn going around the table, and when everyone's had one turn, we're going to move. And the way it's going to move is that the cedar carriage would move 3 spaces, the birch carriage would move 2, and the grey carriage would move, or the oak carriage would move 1. So you'd take these and you'd start moving them around. And they would start heading out of Bristol, and you can see now the orange person's leading, and they would roll the dice first next time. But on your turn, you can do one of 3 very basic things. You can take a remedy card, and you keep it in front of you. Ooh. And every remedy card's got 2 abilities on that you can play. The whip on anyone's turn, but these at any point on your turn, and they will allow you to reroll dice, or lock dice, or fiddle with symptoms and things like that. They're just little bonus cards. If you're not sure what to do early on, take a remedy. Second thing you can do is you can re-roll 2 dice. So I might decide, well, I'm on the red carriage, and which colour am I? I'm red. Yeah, I'm on the red carriage, so if this was a particular roll, I might decide I'm going to re-roll these 2. And maybe I've actually rolled the same things, but maybe I can influence my red carriage getting out further. And the last thing you can do on your turn is you can move. So you can see you might not want to be in a certain situation you're in. You've got 3 options when you move. You can elbow, which is if you're not at the front of a carriage, you can move 1 space further forward. So if I'm red, I might elbow, and I might go, I'm going to elbow myself ahead of white, and I'm changing the order there. The reason to do that is because the second option you've got is shove. You can shove either yourself or anyone behind you in your carriage all the way to the back. So on a later round, I might decide I don't trust white, I think they're infected, shove them all the way to the back. And the last thing you can do is dash. If you're at the front of your carriage, you can jump to the back of the next carriage. So yellow could jump here, and then on brown's turn, they could jump and swap places with yellow and so on. You kind of move yourself around there. There is one caveat though. If the back carriage is completely full and you shove someone to the end of the back carriage, you actually eliminate from the game. So in this case, purple might decide to shove yellow. There's no space here. They get eliminated. Everyone asks, yellow, were you infected? If they were, it's fine. If they weren't, then purple dies from shame. They will also be eliminated, which I've not seen happen yet, but that's how it works. Now, you might think, how do you get infected? Well, what happens is there are 2 types of symbols on the dice. You've got apples, obviously we all know apple a day, doctor, keeps the doctor away and so on, and you've got rats. Any carriage that at the end of the round after they've moved has 2 or more rats, you mingle. So the red carriage in this particular case mingles. So what would happen was you take 1 symptom from here, put it in the red carriage area. You take orange's 2 cards, purple's 2 cards, and yellow's 2 cards. You put them in a pile, you shuffle them up, and you redistribute them. So and this one gets discarded. So you now have new totals, and if any of those totals are 6 or more, that person's infected. And so in this particular case, there's 7 cards being shuffled around there, and if I'm passing back a 3 and a 2 with a card off the top of the deck and other 3s around, I might then draw 2 1s. I'm like, well, someone's got my 3. If they've also got another 3 or 4 or something like that, they'll be infected. Now you don't trust them. The more times people mingle, the more you can distrust that sort of person. And you basically play until an uninfected card leaves Bristol, or no one gets out.
Okay. What do we think?
I like it. It's fun. It's difficult to kind of tell whether you're going to win because in the first game I played, I mingled a lot and everyone just assumed I was infected. And I won because I got out and I was fine. So yeah, there's that kind of like statistically, Steve's mingled a lot. He has more chance to be infected, but you don't know. So it's a little bit random. But it is fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steve?
It's probably not a social deduction game I'll go to a lot more than after a few plays, but I tell you what, we've played with 7 players tonight, and it was hilarious. We were all laughing right at the end. We had some really, like a crescendo to an excellent finish where I shoved Jonathan out of my car. He joined me, and I then shoved him out. I was infected, but I had to pretend I wasn't because I was 1 space away from winning. And in doing so, Matt and Anthony joined me, and they thought, oh, that's clearly the choice. So they joined me, so I eliminated them from the game. But at the end, we mingled when we left. So Anthony got infected at the end. So Anthony's in with a chance of winning, and then everyone else has got 1 more turn to get out. The car that got out had to mingle, and if any of those had got infected, we'd have won. It's interesting, and the weird thing is, I've played this 4 times now with different player counts, and not once has an infected player won. We mingled a lot that game, and there were 7 players, and the only person who got infected as the game was played was me. Everyone else who mingled got away with it, which is so unlikely. But I think it's a game that excels more at higher player counts.
Okay. Anthony?
It was a fun, quick game. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, both Matt and Steve have said pretty much what I wanted to say, so...
Okay.
Yeah, it's a neat enough social deduction game with kind of a bit of a racing twist, because ultimately if one card's far ahead, because if one card gets out, the other team or the other cards have to get out before 1 more round, otherwise they lose anyway. So there's that as well. There's reasonable permutations to keep you as guessing. You can't really, in fact, it's very hard, even more than something like Whatnot to Werewolf, to be more sure of what's actually going on. I think a lot of it's down to a bit of guessing, like guesstimation what's going on. It has a few flaws that I think should be brought up. The art, it's really hard to work out who's what player colour, and that's kind of annoying because I want to know who the people in my car with me, but it's really hard to work out from my card what colour I am. I know I'm purple, but
so that's meant to be purple.
But that's
What colour do you think this is? It's not red. Steve's already red.
And even if I can work out what I am, I certainly find it difficult to work out what other players are. Yeah. And yeah, it's solid enough, but it has its own issues. I guess the other one that some people might find an issue with, I'm not so bothered because I've been playing with, but technically the being infected is done on a trust system because you can drop below the number the 6 value by luck later on. And while that shouldn't be a problem in most groups, some people will find that a problem. Yeah, but I have had fun because it's made me laugh, so it's ultimately done the thing it sets out to do.
Rating?
I'd give it 7.5.
I'll give it 7.
I don't think it's got longevity, but I've enjoyed the games I've played. I'll go with Mark 7.5.
Yeah, it's good fun. It does have a few niggles, so yeah, 7.
Okay. Yeah, the colours are definitely an issue. I struggle with colour blindness, but even if I didn't, everyone else is struggling with it as well. So that is a problem. But if you could sort of fix that, the game itself is a lot of fun. It is random, and I don't think it's one you can kind of play seriously. If you really try and work out what's going on and who's done this, which you can do in something like One Night Ultimate Wealth, you just can't in this. It's just too random. But if you don't really bother and you just have fun and enjoy yourself, I think it's great. I really enjoyed it. As I said, every time I've played this, I've been infected every single time, though. In this game, I didn't get infected till the very last moment. When we got out, I was on the cart, we got out, and then, I got infected. So that's a little bit frustrating. But it's just fun, and I think everyone has a good time. So I've been on a 7.5 out of 10. All right, thanks for watching. That was Bristol 1350.